Welcome to another episode of Mobile Reasoning. Today we'll be featuring 3 members from one of Trelawny's brightest families. I'm Mara, Miss Bev, and little Annu. Stay tuned, this is an episode that you don't want to miss. Remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Well, here we are again for another Good News Jamaica version of Mobile Reasoning, where we meet up with extraordinary Jamaicans doing so well that we want to, you don't have to look at me, that we want to make sure that we highlight because we're proud of you and we're very happy with what we see coming from your shop. To our right is Aymara. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. To my left is Miss Bev. And in the middle is little Annu. Greetings, family.
Blessings and light.
Greetings.
Thank you so much for sitting with Good News Jamaica. Why, a friend of mine from way in Washington, D.C. sent me a link and said, you have to reach out to this family.
See.
And I said, because I get a lot of these requests or demands, because it wasn't a request, saying, okay, let me look and see. And when I saw what was going on, and then I contacted Aymara, and then Aymara sent me some more things, and we had a little bit of reason. I said, no, stop. May I come out? And so you go, sir?
Same so.
All right.
Same so, sir.
You all are amazing.
Thank you.
Your philosophies are really, really foundation of how things supposed to be.
Okay.
No, I know. I mean, I know you, Beth. You are on radio, right? So you're right.
Yes, I have a program on a Friday on Fit FM 96.7 is Trelawny's radio.
Yeah.
So I have a program called Cultural Mix.
All right. Cultural mix. And
Yes.
I listened to it the other day
Okay.
when you were talking to Mr. GQ, Mr. Chief Body Man.
Yes.
Right? And
Richard Corey.
Richard Corey. So the thing is that what I liked about the interview was that you were trying to pull out the foundations of what the Maroons are about. What is he trying to do? Now, for me, because anybody could have made an interview about how much women want him and how he's sexy and all that, and of course you touched on that, but you pulled out the real cloth, the real meaning of what being a Maroon chief is about. So that got me saying, I want to talk to Bev.
Okay.
Right? Now, I spoke to Aymara. And Aymara sent me 2 songs. and we had 2 little reasoning, and I told him stop.
Yeah.
Me want to talk to Aymara.
I spoil the thing.
Right. So, but originally, Donna sent me an image of Marcus Teaches Us, which is a book that is co-authored by Annu Yakali Stewart. Is that person in the room?
Yes.
He's right here.
Annu,
Yes, sir.
you are 11 years old.
9. That's right.
You're 9?
Yes, sir.
Donna, tell me some. This is even more wonderful. All right, good. So you're 9 years old and you've already co-authored. Is this your first book?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. And this book is about what?
Marcus Garvey.
Now, I excuse my ignorance, right? But how is it possible that you at 9 years old would have so much information on Marcus Garvey that you would be able to co-author a book? Where do you get the information from?
Another book called The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. And if you're going to ask me how I got to read that book, him.
Aymara, your daddy.
Yes, sir.
All right, Aymara, what is your philosophy now that you would put Marcus Garvey in Annu's head?
Well, from an early age growing up, I was always surrounded by people with that kind of influence. At age 15, I was an active young political activist.
Okay.
Right, and I was exposed to a whole heap of book about black liberation movement. You know, I was a part of a movement called the WPG, led by Trevor Monroe in the early 80s, right? And at that time the office was at, I believe it was 51 or 50 Lady Musgrave Road. So there were a lot of books in a library there, you know what I mean? Books pertaining to the ANC movement, what was happening in Namibia with the SWAPO movement, the life of Stephen Biko, and I was exposed to books like the autobiography of Malcolm X, you know. So I was getting deep into reading and researching, you know what I mean? And then naturally the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey was something that, you know, was always talk about, and I decided that, you know, I must dig deeper into these things, you know. And as a person, I grew up with a young revolutionary in my consciousness, you know, I was always wondering, how can we as a people, especially black people, you know, break the cycle of colonialism? And I think about it, I thought about it all through my life. I observed that the same structure that colonized us is the same structure that formulate the curriculum that we are living by, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I'm saying, if we are going to break that cycle, we cannot allow our former colonial masters to educate us, because they will not educate us to liberate us. So if liberation is supposed to come forward, we'd have to find a way to educate ourselves. So I make some tough decision, you know. If I'm going to send my children into the same institution that is going to educate them.
Say that one more time. I like that word. Say it again.
Educate them.
I like it. I like it. Explain the word.
Because I realize that it is not to your upliftment, but rather to keep you in subjugation, in a state of control. You understand?
Yes.
And just studying widely, even in America. Remember, there was at a time in America you couldn't try to even become a lawyer. Even in Jamaica, certain people of our complexion couldn't work in a certain institution, you know. And it's not too long ago. Tertiary level education could not be acquired by certain people until maybe in the mid-70s, when Michael, the early 70s coming up, when that kind of opened up free education by Michael Manley. So following these things, I decided that there's a structure in place, and the structure will do everything to keep us mentally enslaved. Or are we going to liberate ourselves from that mental slavery?
Well, obviously to educate ourselves in some kind of way.
Yeah,
Right.
and as Marcus Garvey said, there are two kinds of education. The one, that the man who educates himself, and the other is the man who is educated by someone else. The most powerful one is the one who educates himself.
True.
So I went on that mission for self-education,
Right.
and even now passing it on to my children, that I don't want to educate you. I want you to observe, look, live, and educate yourself.
I like that. I like that. All right. So, Mommy, you obviously were not born around Aymara, so you decided that this philosophy works with you.
Yeah.
So tell me your take on it now.
It was a deliberate effort
Okay.
when we decided that first we are going to try and have them homeschooled. So Annu has never gone to school. He's 9. And Razu would have started, in his early years. And then Razu is what, 18 or 19?
18.
So towards his, maybe what, 10 or so he never went into school until he was about 6, 7. And by the time he was 10 really, he was out again. Because we found out that while he was at home, he was a more brilliant boy. When he went into school, you adopt, you take a little from everybody. One of the things that struck us when he was going to school, we never always had the opportunity to drive him to school. At the time we were living in St. Thomas. And so, no one again would say, Rezu, you have to go take the taxi to go into school. And you trust me, that was about 2 months, Amara?
Yeah.
Within 2 months, Rezu knew every dancehall song.
Because he was a sponge.
And I tell you, the songs, and the songs that he knew, and not song of substance.
Of course.
Or anything that is uplifting. He knew everything, he knew all of them. Just within that 2 months. And we said, no, it can't work. It can't work. So by that time now, we say, you know what now? He must come back into the home setting. And that's what we did. At 13, or he was 12. So we are teaching him at home, some of what the regular school curriculum would have. And, some of the things that he needs to know to develop himself as a black boy, as a child growing up in Jamaica and so on. At 12, we said, all right, you know what, we're going to try him out with the CXC. And Rezu, he did English. CXC, English, English 1, English language. And when the results came out, he got a 1 with distinction.
Wonderful.
That's at 12.
Yes.
So we realized that the thing can work because guess what? A lot of people never did trust the process, And they might say, no, we have to send them to school. They have to go to school. And so we were partially really on our own to do this thing with them. And then Annu was born and Amara decided to hold off with his music for a while to really grow them because I was working all the time. And Amara said, you know what? We will stay with them.
Okay.
Put the career on a hold a little because, the music was just turning and things started to happen and so on. So right at the point of the career now being, you just say, shot, there comes this decision where we have to make now as a family. And him say, all right, Bev, me will stay with them. No watch nothing, me will stay with them.
See.
And that is what has happened here.
That is amazing.
So we come now, have school online now. We were doing it all along.
All along.
All along.
So what is interesting to me is the importance that you're saying of the father's decision within a family. Because once Amara decided that, look here, the system now works for children and we're going to raise the children a different way, you decided, you know what, that makes sense.
We'll
go with it.
Yeah.
And then you produced Azu, right? The brilliance out of Azu. Right? Razu. And then now Amara decided, you know what? I better me stay home rather than follow the glitter of the music and the what will be a rise and then a fall because every musician go through. Let me stay home and put the energy into my children.
I want you to listen. You say you would have gotten some of Amara's song. I want you to listen to the music, and it's not like it's because he's my husband now. Me I say this, but when you hear the kind of music we him do, you know that if the energy and the power was in it, and he was out there out the road, he would have really been.
I've listened to 2 songs.
Yeah.
And I tell you already, those 2 songs got me into Trelawny.
Yeah.
Right? Because it is the type of music we need. Right? And so I was so appreciative of the two songs and the lyrics. Now, I like to dissect music. And there's some music where you just want to listen. And the 2 songs you sent me, Amara, I just wanted to sit and listen. because the lyrics were so right, you know? And it was a message to the world to say, look, we need it. It's knocking. The opportunity is knocking. Are you listening?
True.
And I appreciated your music. That's the message that you're saying in the music. Because they tell us to wake up. They tell us how we need to live off the bat, right?
True.
So, Annu,
Yes, sir.
when did you come up with the idea about the book?
I don't know how to explain it because I didn't know that I was going to be a co-author. And then my mother told me about this lady, Dr. Eleanor Lynch. She said she wanted me to co-author this book. And I agreed with it because I thought, wait, this could get me somewhere. So, that's how I ended up with this.
All right. So
tell him about the quotes that you were doing, and I shared them on Facebook. The Marcus Garvey quotes. Annu's talk.
And me and her came up with this thing called Annu's Talk, where we do something every Sunday. I did a quote on Marcus Garvey's birth date, August 17, and something came out and said, "Hello everybody, welcome to Annu's Talk."
Nice.
And then when it finished, she said, "You could turn it into something that you do every week or every Sunday." So I agreed with every Sunday, and now I'm doing it every Sunday.
So is that on YouTube? Is that a podcast? What is that?
It's on YouTube and on Facebook.
Wonderful.
So I started posting his talks, you know. So when him doing Annu's, so it is coming out of the quotes now that his father tell him to study.
Okay.
So you have all this quote. What are you doing with it now? And then he shared the first one on August 17, Marcus Garvey's birthday last year, 2020. And I said, but you could do it every Sunday. So he's doing Annu's talk, and I'm posting it now on my Facebook. And everybody's seen it, and all this response. The first one he did, I think he got about 10,000 views.
Wow.
The first one, and he started to build up and so on. So Dr. Wint is on Facebook, and she had already done a Marcus Teaches Us edition 1 and 2, and wanted to do edition 3. So when she saw Annu now, she said, no, this is a perfect opportunity to co-author a book with a young man who is into Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
So we spoke, and Annu agreed. So Marcus Teaches Us 3rd edition is a result of that one.
Amazing. Annu, how many of the stuff that we're seeing in the book actually came from you?
One page, I think it's like page 16 or 17.
16 and 17.
16 and 17. Okay. I wrote these. My mother put it on Word and then she copied it and sent it to the lady. This is kind of like just like my page.
So that is your own words.
Yes, sir.
That is amazing.
And then this is a quote of Marcus Garvey here. So
On 17.
right.
All right. So the interest that you have for Marcus Garvey, Annu, what do you want to do with this interest? What is it that you think these quotes will do for everybody else?
Well, for young people, seniors like them,
Seniors.
and elderly people like my grandmother.
Yes.
Seniors.
Yes!
Adults.
Sorry, don't let them intimidate you. Go ahead. They are seniors. Continue.
And I think it will empower black people to feel good about their skin, and that brings me to a quote.
All right.
The black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness.
Wow. Tell me, where did you get that quote from?
The philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey.
Yes, but what is it that brought that quote out to you?
Well, my father chose that specific quote, and then I said it on one of my talks.
And then how you understand it now.
Yeah, how
But
do
when-
you understand that quote?
Well, I think, how I understand it is, I think that black people should feel proud of their skin because most of them feel like they just look ugly.
Or some, not most. Some.
Yeah, some not most. And they're wrong about their self. They are beautiful people. We are a beautiful race. And in the book, at the end of the book, it says, remember, black is not a color, it's a race.
I like that. Huh. Interesting. Alright, so this book has just been uploaded to Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? So people can go to Amazon and get this book. It has quizzes, it has coloring, it has all kinds of things in there. This is an amazing book. Annu, at 9 years old, if you were to look 10 years into the future, what do you see yourself doing?
Well, I see myself making other books, but I have so many interests in so many other things that I want to build. When I was in one of my classes one day, the teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, all of the students, and I chose teacher because I want to teach the younger children how to be proud of themselves.
Right. But that's a perfect way of describing it, how to be proud of themselves.
Yeah. And then I came up with this love of drawing, so then I wanted to be an artist. And now I go over the book, I guess I want to be the author of one of my own books.
I tell you what you do.
You can do all of them.
Why don't you do all of them and then you figure out what you want to do after you've done all of them?
That's a good idea, but there will be so much pressure and
No, because guess what? Everything you just said a while ago, they all mix perfectly.
Yes, you can
Let
do
me
all.
show you why.
You can do all of them.
As you're a teacher and you're teaching people, students, whatever, how to be proud of themselves, you're taking notes. Those notes turn into your book. In your free time, you're doing drawings. Those drawings turn into the illustrations on your book.
oh,
Look at that.
so they combine them.
Exactly.
Okay.
That sound like pressure?
It's like I'm doing one thing and it's all my other things I want to do.
That's not pressure at all, is it?
They're all in one.
Exactly. That sound good to you?
Yes, sir.
So then by this time next year, you have 4 more books out, right? That's pressure. That's pressure.
That's right.
All right, Daddy.
In time,
Yes,
in
sir.
time. Everything will come out in time.
Daddy,
Yes, I.
first of all, congratulations on the work that you're doing as a male, as a head of household, as I don't even know. Actually, I want to ask you about that. What is your philosophy about the head of the household?
My philosophy about the head of the household, I wonder if the household really have no head. Some of the things that society put out is like always, if them go clockwise, no go anti-clockwise.
All right.
This is how we function, I mean, always I think differently, because when I decided that I would be a husband, it wasn't really a simple thing to do,
Yes, sir.
But guess what? I never see my father till I was 26 years old. See? Though I was nurtured with love, with I grew up with my step-grandmother and my step-grandfather and my grandmother. See? But around there was this community that responsible for my upbringing. See? So there was this what you call a communal living, where we would live together in a particular way that if me leave and go up the road in the evening, nobody I go worry when me there, because them know say it's either me there over Mass Brunel Yard, or me there up a Mass Calbert, or me up a BBR, up a Clive Yard. Them know say we're well secure. So that's the kind of community that I grew up in. So, that's why I say we don't look on head of household. We look on how community responsible for each other. So me never have this, me never grow up, when me come in a Kingston, you know, me start to see things pan a way where me start to even say, but it look like say me escape freedom and run into bondage. Because the kind of life that I used to live was so free. You go river, go catch janga. You go river at night time, go launch crayfish. You check set choky and catch bird. You set calaban and catch bird. You know you go riverside, go catch water and drink. You know, at night time if the place dark, you make a buckle torch. You know, so that kind of independence around us as a people give me that is what kind of educate me to be what I am now. So the question you ask about being the head of a household, I just see that as a service that I must do to serve. And who is the best people to serve but your children, the younger people who are coming up? Because as I said, I never see my father tell me at 26-year-old. So I made that commitment that I will break the cycle. It now go happen to my children, because the kind of literally trauma that I've been through can't find my father. So when my father meet me, a father already. Of a 6-year-old boy. You know what I mean?
No, I love your philosophy, because when you look, because you can read books all over the world, right? You can read books about how we have been depicted, about how we have been, call it educated or miseducated, whichever one you want to call it. But what the books you won't see are what are innately in us.
Exactly.
And what I understand from what is innately in me is that there is no head of the household.
Simple.
Because from time immemorial, man and woman work together to bring a unit.
The balance, to create a balance.
Right.
That's the balance.
And so, we don't know about one person more important than the other person.
Never.
It was taught to us.
Exactly.
Right? And what I see now is that because of the indoctrination we've had over time.
Put another word, because of the patriarchal indoctrination.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're right, because that's exactly what it is. We have been taught that when the man is separated, everything broke up. That's not how it goes. We're a community.
Always.
The man might need to go and do whatever he needs to do and then come back, but the community fills in the space. So we never used to miss in the beginning.
Never.
Right? No. I am not saying absentee fathers are anything that we support.
No.
We do not support that at all.
That's why I make sure that I'm always present.
Exactly. But what we're saying is, we come from a people that grew up in community mindset, community lifestyle, community action, and community growth. When the tide rises, so do all the boats. Right? But we were conquered by separatists.
That's it.
And that got inculcated in our being. All right, Ms. Beth.
Yes, sir.
Before we went to the break, we were talking about community, family, growth within our units and such. Regardless of what is not there physically, the community fills in the gap. What is your response to that whole thing that we just spoke about?
I think most people who were grown up in rural Jamaica would have been used to the community raising everybody. So my great grandmother, she and her husband lived alone. And you would be frightened when you go to the house and see the big pot of food where she cook. Because if so and so pass, them have to get food, you know. And some people deliberately come because they know she going to leave food for everybody, one pot of food, because nobody must stop by, you know, have something to give them to eat. So I grew up with that kind of thing. Bless her soul, Mahowil. She taught us that you must, it has to be the community that grow everybody. And then now, I grew up now with my father and my mother together and my brothers. I'm the only female there, and that never separate me from them. My father may have to go look for the goat them same way, may have to carry him stick same way. He never treated me differently as a girl. Me never have a doll yet, you know. No, me never have none. I remember one time my mother bought one for me and I was so afraid of this doll. I cried. She had to bring it back because I was not used to that kind of thing. We never had toys because we didn't have to go and do everything. So I grew up with that kind of thing, knowing that it is everybody who grow everybody. I have respect for people because they're people. Not because him over there and live in a big house and that person live in a little house down the road, you don't have respect for them. You have respect for people because they're people. So we grew up with that kind of thing. So when I come now, having my own family, that's what I expect.
Okay. How do you impart that knowledge and that, not even that knowledge, but that practice onto your children?
So it is simple. So they know that you treat people because they're people, because that is something them grow up hearing. You know, somebody stop by and want something from us. If you have it, you give it to the person. Your neighbor wants something, we still do that now. You share it with people. You know, anything you have. If you have something at the house that you now use, don't make it stay there and rotten. Give it to somebody. So them grew up with that kind of understanding that you have to share and you have to care for people, and we have to love and respect people because people are people.
Annu, is that the type of philosophy that you're going to continue to grow with?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Like you said, I have to respect people because they're people.
But why is that, other than what your mom and dad tell you, why is that philosophy something that you believe in?
Not because they tell me, because it's the right thing to do. Okay. And I have something to say about the whole man and woman thing and the household.
Oh, please. Please, but you have to speak up though.
Some people, they actually I think they teach it in schools, and some parents say, or people say to children, or other people, children grow up with this kind of mindset saying, if the man leave, the woman, the whole, the entire house just useless. And people say that if a man doesn't care for a woman, it's bad, and that is true. But the thing that annoys me so much is that stereotypes. A lot of children, some children grow up without their father, and that's just wrong. My father stays around me and my brother, Razoo, and it's good. But I think I forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to try and remember.
It soon come back to you. The father and mother, to create that kind of balance, is one more important than the other?
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. One isn't more important than the other. They say that men are stronger than women and men mustn't have emotion, men mustn't cry. And that, is it okay if I point this out?
Yeah.
When I lived somewhere else apart from Hague, my father was cutting grass one time barefoot. And he accidentally put the machete really hard on his big toe,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to go to the hospital near us.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out, saw blood on his toe, and I just almost started crying. Because it's so horrible to know that the person I love getting hurt. Now every day I'm trying to advise him, Daddy, wear your shoes, wear your shoes.
No, let me ask you, Annu, during that time when Daddy almost chopped off him toe, right? Was the grass still being cut?
It had to be cancelled.
It had to be cancelled. So Mommy didn't go out and cut the grass.
Do you cut grass?
No, she can't.
Do you cut grass?
We don't allow her to cut that grass.
Cut the grass. We allow her to cut the grass.
No, no.
That's your thing.
Yeah, I
cut grass.
Yeah, she can't cut grass.
Okay. Understand.
Yeah, I got grass.
Alright, Annu, tell me, and this is between me and you, right? Don't look at Mommy, don't look at Daddy, this is between me and you. Who cook better?
You don't have to look, just talk. I don't.
Who cook better?
Just talk, just.
I'm sorry, Mommy.
Just do your thing and do your thing. Do your thing, man.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be sorry. Just
I
say.
just feel bad.
No,
Why you feel?
no, I speak the truth, man.
No, just talk.
Both of them.
That's not what you're
I think you just save your mommy out. And I want to tell you, good move. Protect mommy
You
and
can't say it. I know I won't feel no way. You can't say it, and you know that too.
That is wonderful. Well, family, I am beyond the moon excited
You laugh, I know.
about the prospects of what's going to happen when Annu becomes the adult,
Yes.
and the continued philosophy of what Aymara is going to be planting and growing within his children, and you, Bev, what you are going to be doing and planting and cultivating these mindsets, because guess what, whether you want to believe it or not, you all three are now considered standard bearers, because what you're doing is working,
Yeah.
and it's working well. And so the rest of Jamaica need to look at your formula and say, wait a minute, we need to check ourselves and see what we're doing wrong, because I can tell you that I haven't met many 9-year-olds that can quote Garvey. They know who Marcus Garvey is, and they know, when I say they know who he is, they know he's a national hero, first national hero. They also know that he's from Jamaica. They also know that he's a black man. What else do they know? Listen, we could sit here and talk
Forever, not true.
We could. But we're going to continue this 2 Fridays from now, don't?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Annu,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much for sitting with us.
Yes, sir.
I want to know from you though, do you have a message for young people right now?
Yes, sir. A quote.
Okay?
Okay. It says,
Speak up for me.
if you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Now, I've said what I think about it. Let me give you a quiz. What do you think it means?
I love that. Okay. First of all, it is a quote that I live my life by. Because I've always said to people that the devil dwells in easy. Right? When you stand brave and step into a situation with confidence, whatever adversary is there must take cover. Because one thing is going to happen is the universe is going to bend and give you everything that your confidence is looking for. Right? So thank you very much for that question.
Yes, sir.
Right? Please continue writing.
Yes, sir.
Don't stop.
Yes, sir.
Because your brain is obviously obviously filled with a lot of its own philosophies.
Yes, sir.
So the next thing that I want to see you do is make another book of quotes, but they should be your own.
Yes, sir. But one more thing.
Yes, sir.
This family
Yes.
is a working family.
Is
a working family.
Tell me what that means.
She's authoring a book, plus she has a radio station.
A radio show.
A radio show. He's making music. I'm co-authoring, and my older brother Razu is doing software programming. Plus my older brother, who is an adult now, is doing parties and stuff.
What you have said to
Like
me?
hosting parties. Yeah.
So
And studying to be a doctor.
Yeah.
this is amazing. The family just up and up and up. You know, I know it sounds to me, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds to me like you're proud of your family.
I am.
You said that, oh, you say it so, with so much zeal.
I am proud of my family.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, there's only one assignment you have in your life, and it's an assignment that I'm sure your daddy Aymara and your mommy Bev have heard for many days when they are stepping out of their house when they were children. There's a little saying that says, when you leave this house, make sure you represent this address here. When you used to hear that, make sure you represent this household.
Yeah, man.
When you leave the house, make sure whatever you do is what you would do here.
Yeah.
So, Annu, when you step out in the world, make sure you represent your family here.
Yes, sir.
And
And
you
I have a big up to do. I have a big up to do.
Oh, good. Please go ahead and do the big one.
A big up to my 18-year-old brother Razu, and a big up to my older brother, older Mikhail, the girl.
All right.
You know, big up Mark too.
Mark.
Yeah. Maximum respect to Dana Love. She made this possible. She make all of this we are going here so possible. So
Yeah, man.
Dana love you, my sister. You know what I mean? Yes, I am. And you know, shout out to my producer, Milton Booth and Theodore Booth. My mother, Hazel McDonald. See, you know, I mean, so many people. You know, we just call a few because this journey is not by ourselves.
True.
Yeah.
Do you have any shout outs you want to do?
Shout out to everybody. Everybody, we can start naming names.
Yeah.
Big up yourself, and let us continue to just, love people and respect people because they are people. Have respect for each other.
Yeah.
Because once we have respect, that's it.
Everything else.
I will treat you as I would want to be treated.
Yes.
So let us look at it from that perspective. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Lovely.
Thank you for checking us out on Good News Jamaica TV for content that informs, inspires, and transforms. Please like, share, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more positive Jamaica content. Walk good,